for your presentations. So as you recommended 3 pressures, so you have to monitor. So like from the venous line you have to monitor, of course in the reservoir, and of course you have to set some negative pressure through your console, so like you are using the VAVD. So the first question is, what was the ideal adjustment of your vacuum during your procedure? Number 2, till which time the negative pressure created in the reservoirs, like here you studied like in a -1 or something negative pressure in the reservoir. And number 3, what is the ideal negative pressure in the venous lines? So this is my questions. My recommendation for the use of this vacuum assistant, especially is like the patients using with the low volume and with the small cannula, we use the vacuum assist. And as you get this incidence of the higher pressure in the reservoir, if you are not using the venous pressures and still you are getting the higher pressure as you mentioned in your presentations, so have you noticed on your regulators, is there any change of the negative pressure? You set for example -40, -60. So then there was the complaint by the surgeons. There's a distension in the right heart, we are not training properly. So who the person with the perfusions, have you noticed there's something change in the regulator of the vacuum assist?
I tried to answer your questions. So first of all, I wouldn't use VAVD if it's not necessary. So, and my personal experience, we use obviously like a half-inch venous line, which is a big line, and the average an average venous cannula. So therefore, for 90% of all the cases, centrally cannulated, you don't need to vacuum, right? Sometimes if you use a smaller obviously then you apply vacuum, but then you apply -20 millimeters mercury, and sometimes maybe up to 40 millimeters mercury. That might be important. This might be important when you have a femorally cannulated patient, but other than that, I wouldn't go higher. It doesn't help. Then you would see the shattering of the venous line. Then it's you exceeded the negative pressure, and I don't really see no, I don't really notice that. No, I think if you notice that, then you
allows you to do that. If you see in the echography that the patient is so dry that needs volume, this is the only thing that says not to move forward. No. About the size of the cannula, yes, we use a smaller cannula, and also this helps the surgeon to have a clear operative field, and using the VAVD at -20 to -40 is a safe range. That has been why they started. And about the emboli, that was when we started in 2014 to do this procedure, was my personal concern. I said, okay, this may be creating bubbles, okay, so let's assess this with a Doppler. And when you check the amount of bubbles that you deliver to the patient, what we found is that VAVD doesn't seem any problem. And also when doing heart, that's not a part of this study, but also when doing heart and then pulsatile flow, there is no bubble issue because you have cleared all the bubbles that were remain into the oxygenation chamber, into the low flow areas of the oxygenation chamber. So we really don't think that this will be a risk in any scenario, because we also can go forward in any moment. If you need to get on pump, you can get on pump. It's absolutely reversible in every step of the process. So we do this for heart transplantation, we do this for emergencies, we do cases for all. And standardizing technique helps you to reduce the adverse events for sure.
Now in your presentation, you use the centrifugal pumps.
Yes.
Have you experienced with the, like in the convention, you're using the roller pumps? So mostly like the CFAGs, like FAGs and the small valves, you never go with the centrifugal pump. As we go to the third world, it's expensive to use the centrifugal pump. Have you experienced
Yes.
the role?
In pediatrics, always.
Oh, thank you.
And in the paper, in the how to do it paper, you can find it the procedure for centrifugal and also for roller pump. Yep. And do this retrograde recovery in very slow, like 200 milliliters per minute of backflow to avoid hemodynamical instability. Once we have collected all this volume, we do reprime ante-grade the centrifugal pump and also the oximeter. Until we find that some blood is getting into the collector pump. As you see, this is 700 milliliters, so our hemodilution because of the initiation of CPB is 300 milliliters. As key points, we focus in avoiding hypotension. We do not tolerate inappropriate blood pressure below 60 millimeters of mercury. We avoid cerebral hypoperfusion, controlling the mirrors. We avoid hemodynamical instability. We also avoid individualism because this is not only a perfusion approach, this is a multidisciplinary approach. So we have to coordinate with the surgeon and the anesthesiologist to start. And we also avoid cavitation, managing the BABD in a range between minus 20 to minus 40 millimeters mercury. But what's new on that? We perform a national minimal invasive course, and every time people come, we explain this about our approach in perfusion, and we receive this kind of bad feedbacks, no? Some concerns, I think it's not the moment to argue, it's the moment to prove it. So we accepted this challenge. Our first experience was a retrospective cohort study with 425 patients, and we tried to find the main predictors of transfusion with this sample, and we found that the main predictors for the early 24 hours transfusion were the nadir, the minimum hematocrit during the pump, and the performance of heart. But when we are looking to the